Yes, another new mid-size SUV has hit the market in Australia. It's not like we need any more. But you know what? I kind of approve of this because it is a little bit different, a little bit interesting. It's based on the same, I'm not joking, lemon platform as the Haval H6. It just has a rugged, adventurous body on top. There's just one variant on sale in Australia, the Vanta. It is unfortunately front-wheel drive only, but it is, as usual with GWM products, feature-packed. It kind of reminds me of the old days where they used to have a coach builder and you get a completely custom body on top of an existing chassis. I think some of the established brands should do more of that as well. I know there's a few going around, but yeah, I like the way that they've just given you a popular platform like a mid-size SUV hybrid, but then given it a different body, so you've got a slightly different style. In terms of the style, it looks a little bit unusual. It kind of reminds me of a thumbnail for some reason at the front, like a kind of squared off D, and then at the back you've got a sporty and chunky theme and a roof line that curves down just at the back of the rear door. So yeah, it's got that sporty, muscular rear end. It's good to see there is a proper multi-link independent rear suspension setup, even though this is front-wheel drive only in Australia. And then power comes from a 1.5 litre petrol hybrid producing 179 kilowatts and 530 newton meters. That's paired to a hybrid style transmission, automatic transmission. That places it at the upper end of the segment in terms of power. Fuel consumption average is 5.7 litres per 100 kilometres, which is pretty good, but not the absolute best. In terms of being a two-wheel drive hybrid in this class, you can get something that chews, in the fours. And then inside, it's actually just as interesting, or if not more. There's a lot going on, like you've got carbon fibre around that crazy big grab handle. You've got a shelf on the passenger side, some more carbon fibre style of trim down here, very chunky center console, wireless charging pad, and a big 14.9 inch touchscreen up above. It feels pretty good inside, and yeah, interesting is the main word. Like you want to look around and go, oh, what's going on here? I'm not saying it's the absolute best and that's what every SUV should be like, but it is interesting. It makes me think and it makes me want to look around a bit. I don't like the steering wheel and the steering wheel position. Like it's got a bit of a tilt at the top. So it's, more forward at the top and then protrudes right out at the bottom, kind of like a bottom lip really hanging out. And you can't adjust it fully. You can't pull it towards your chest all that much. There is adjustment for up and down and in and out, but just not enough in my opinion, or for my body shape or body size. I do like the way you've got some physical buttons for the main climate control settings like aircon, air recirculation and fan speed. But if you want to change the temperature, you've got to go into this little sub menu. Then you can fine tune what you want. But yeah, overall it's pretty easy to use. You've got your main grid layout for your apps. You've got a pull down section for shortcuts. It's mostly intuitive. This is averaging 7.9 litres per 100 kilometres at the moment, but I'm pretty sure you could get that much lower with more regular use. This is kind of testing conditions. The previous tester may have been thrashing it around as well. And then up at the back, just like the H6, you've got massive amount of legroom for this class in particular, and then decent comfort. The seat is a little bit reclined, and yeah, I feel like I've got more space than pretty much any other SUV in this class. The seat is nowhere near my legs. I could roll that seat all the way back to the end of the rails and it still wouldn't be close to my legs at all. You've got pockets on both seats, separated climate vents so you can change the direction, and you've got one USB port down there. The Vanta also comes with a full panoramic sunroof and handles on the ceiling and the B-pillar, and it's got them same chunky carbon fibre style handles as the front. And then up at the back, electronic tailgates. You've got a decent sized boot. It's not the biggest boot in this class. The floor is quite high, and then underneath you've just got a tyre repair kit and no extra storage. You do have a little pocket on the side, some hooks, tie down points, and a security blind. All right, let's take it for a drive. I'm keen to see how it handles. In particular, compared with the H6, or the last H6 that I drove was a little bit sloppy. So far this feels just a little bit tighter for some reason. And then you've got, pretty good power. We'll do the performance test later on as well. Firstly, yes, the body does feel a little bit more stable compared with the H6. Like around this big sweeping bend, it just doesn't sort of wobble and bend to the side as much, in my opinion, and at least compared with the last H6 that I drove. GWM rolls out, updates quite regularly, so the version I drove might have been since been updated. This does feel a little bit more sporty. The suspension maybe a little bit firmer, maybe. I mean, it still wobbles side to side when you move the steering wheel like this. Not that you drive like that, but you know, do the same thing in a RAV4 or a CX-5, it just feels very sturdy. Whereas this is, yeah, wobbling around a bit. Plenty of power from this transmission. I'll show you the kind of kick down, although it's not really kicking down. It picks up, it's got the electric motor pushing you along, and then the petrol motor sort of revs up afterwards. It kind of is a little bit disorienting to your ears, but it does pick up speed effortlessly. And in terms of ride comfort, this road is very average. It's got patchwork and, yeah, different sections of tarmac. It feels pretty good. I do think it's got like a slightly sportier edge compared with the H6, or at least the H6 that I drove last, because this is picking up the finer details a little bit better. But as I said, it's still got that sort of wobbly feel when you really throw it around. But comfort, specifically on a road like this, it feels pretty much perfect. Like, it's not jolting around, but at the same time it's not bouncing too much. And down a tighter section of road, yeah, there's a little bit of lean on that front corner, but it doesn't feel too bad. I've got decent communication through the wheel, the steering wheel that is. It's hanging on okay. I mean, it doesn't have the best tyres, the Giddy tyres. Not a huge fan, but it's doing reasonably well for this style of vehicle. Then in terms of visibility, I like the way you've got a nice big gap between the mirror and the pillar, so I can see what's going on behind there. And you've got a decent view out the front. You can raise the seat right up if you want to, and you get that perched up view. And then around at the back, you do have chunky D pillars, and there's kind of a semi pillar there as well that you've got to clear. But the rear windscreen is okay, it's straight through the back, but it is kind of not as tall as some rivals because it takes on a semi coupe style profile. Prices start from just $46,990 drive away, making it a very good value package for the amount of kit you're getting for hybrid technology for this class. So for the performance test, I've got the battery at about, what would you say, 70, maybe 80%. I'll do the first, with the V-Box anyway, I'll do the test straight away while the battery's the highest. So if you see it drop down a little bit in the video, it's just because they're just videos, they're not actually timed runs. I'll do the V-Box testing first while the battery's at the highest level. It'd be good if I could show you the battery level as I'm going, but now it's dropped just below 50%. I actually did the V-Box testing with the camera rolling. So the first run was that launch control run, and it was with the battery at about 75% or something like that. And the last run I did was just then without launch control, and yeah, just below 50%. And it was a fair bit of a difference in the performance times. I can't show you both because the steering column doesn't pull back enough. If I show you the battery, then you won't see the speed. But yeah, it does seem to be one of those hybrids where performance really depends on how high the battery level is.